We're here today with Mallory Musante, owner and founder of Mallory Musante Designs. M&M Designs are her fans. Mallory, thank you very much for meeting with us today.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Now we're at your apartment here in Hell's Kitchen.
Yes.
We'd like to find out a little bit more about how and where you design your shoes.
Yep, it's right here, right at my desk.
This is where everything happens?
Where the magic happens.
So in your home, I can see that you kind of have your workstation behind you. I think we just want to learn more about sort of your inspiration for starting your own shoe design company and kind of learning about what goes into designing some shoes.
Well, it all kind of started after I saw the movie P.S. I Love You. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's this woman, she loses her husband, and he actually leaves her letters for years to come, so she kind of finds her way. And really at the end of the movie, she kind of gets this inspiration to become a shoe designer and take these classes and learns how to hand make shoes. So that was like my original idea. And then I went, I did a ton of research to find classes that I could take, and there's not really that many. I found a school in London, and they actually do some in the US in San Francisco. So I flew to San Francisco, took a 5-day class, and learned how to hand make a pair of shoes. So it was really awesome and exciting, but it's kind of hard to find materials and everything like that.
Sure.
So I actually met somebody that hand paints sneakers instead, and I've always painted as a hobby. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wonder if there's anything out there for women, because it was all sneakers and everything. So I did research on that. I found some companies that do, but none that I personally would really like to wear myself. So I bought a kit that he sells online and just kind of started experimenting with my own shoes, and then people wanted to know where I got them, and it really just evolved really organically
Just
like
took
that.
off from there?
Yeah.
That's really great. Now, what was the name of the program that you studied at in San Francisco?
The school is called Prescott and McKay, and it was a 5-day intensive shoemaking course.
Wow. Okay. So did you guys actually go over how to design a shoe like from scratch?
It was more about the construction of the shoe, not necessarily design, but I did go back. They have more classes, and they actually did one in New York City that I did last April. And it was more of the design piece and what it takes to start more of a mass production label and everything. So I did more of the design piece later and learned the construction first.
Sure. So you have been to, you mentioned San Francisco, now you live in New York City, but where is Mallory from originally? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Little Mystic, Connecticut.
Just a little bit up from New York, right? Not too far?
Yeah, it's about a 2.5-hour drive.
Now, what gave you the confidence to go from taking a shoe designing course to actually starting your own company and really putting your name out there?
It was mostly just the response I got from the shoes when I wore them. That kind of was like, oh, this is, something that people want and are interested in. And I actually went to business school, not design school. So I was able to use my last semester and do an independent study with, a professor. And basically the focus was developing a business plan. So when I did graduate, I could just pretty much jump right in.
Hey, I put some new shoes on and suddenly everything's right. I said, hey, I put some new shoes on and everybody's smiling. It's so inviting. No short on money, but long on time. Slowly strolling in the sweet sunshine, and I'm running late and I don't need an excuse. So wearing my brand new shoes.
So what I would do first with these shoes is I would take the finish off, which is basically just using an acetone based, it just, cotton swabs and take the finish off. That preps the shoe. I actually have to let it air out for a little bit afterwards. So, I do that first, go work on something else, and then come back. These ones actually, I painted the hunter green onto them. They were originally black, but we painted them the hunter green, and then I do, the brass color on top, and then I actually will use, I use this tool again for this. It's just a little easier for the more detailed parts of the shoe to use that tool instead of an actual paintbrush, because it would just take a lot longer. And then, so I just did that. I do it in sections, and then you know, I try to get them to match up as closely as possible and everything, but I am a bit of a perfectionist. So I like things to be as close as possible. Our shoes and bracelets and everything are genuine leather. So the paint that I have is specifically designed. It's actually an acrylic-based paint, but it's designed specifically for leather. So, you know, these, you know, your shoes bend and move and, you know, you're walking on them. So they get a little bit beat up. But, you know, they basically wear very similar to how just your regular leather shoes would wear. But I also do put an acrylic finish over the top that protects the paint a little bit more. Everything is done by hand, so no design is going to be exactly the same. So everything is completely one of a kind.
Wow, there's a real uniqueness to it then.
Yeah, it's really like a piece of wearable art for people to have, and kind of a special key item that they can wear and feel special in, and
right.
everything.
So do you think that's kind of what's generated some buzz about your shoe company, is that everything is really, as you said, wearable art?
Yeah, definitely. People love that, you know, they can have things customized. I do a ton of custom orders for, you know, brides or for people. I had a rally car driver. She wanted a pair of shoes, and I replicated the colors and designs of her cars onto the shoes, which was so much fun. They were one of my favorite custom pairs to do because it was so, like, unique and cool.
Sure.
And it's just, there's a lot that I can do that you won't be able to find in a store because I'm doing it by hand and painting it. It just, you know, gives it a really personal touch for people. The biggest reward I can get is just how much my customers love their shoes and everything, and even the bracelets and everything. They get so excited. They share them all over Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything, and it's just cool to see how much they love them. But I've also had my shoes in New York Fashion Week shows, Boston Fashion Week shows. I've had Alex McCord, who used to be on The Real Housewives of New York. She has a pair of shoes that she actually wears quite often.
Sure.
She originally wore them to Style Week Providence. She wore them to a fashion show there, but she's worn them to New York Fashion Week, to different charity events and everything. So she loves her pair too. Art is a huge inspiration for me. I love to kind of go out, even if it's just street art. You know, people find graffiti to be, you know, not so pretty or anything, but I actually love graffiti, and I think it's really cool and unique. So even if it's just graffiti, or if I go to a museum and I see a Van Gogh painting or anything, you know, I can get inspiration anywhere. But also nature, if I'm in a fabric store, a pattern on a fabric could even, you know, interest me. So it's really anywhere and everywhere. I'm always have my eyes open to see what would look interesting.
What advice would you give to young aspiring designers?
I would say patience is key, but being aggressive and persistent is also very important. Getting out there and actually going and doing it and being aggressive and getting what you want is also important, and that's still something that I totally work on all the time. I kind of want to expand into more products. So I went from shoes, I added in bracelets last year, and I want to continue to add more products. You know, I have some necklaces now, kind of working on some more designs in that, maybe doing clutches and purses, and, you know, just kind of moving into more accessories and leather goods.
Mallory, thank you very much for meeting with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. 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 Diamonds on the soles of her shoes.